Indian Arms Act 1878. It criminalized the possession of arms without license. Okay. It exempted the Europeans and Anglo Indians. It introduced uniform penalties for all races. It allowed imprisonment for 7 years. First of all, very discriminatory act it was. It never introduced any kind of uniform penalty over here. The statement is wrong over here. Okay, so 1, 2, and 4 is absolutely right over here. How can they bring uniform penalties? First of all, in whole army we had seen there was conception of racial discrimination. This was the one of the reason in 1857 that there was discontentment among the masses which led to the revolt. Consider the following features of 1882 revolution on local self-government under Lord Ripon. Okay, first of all, the preference over here for non-elected, non-official chairman, financial autonomy through provincial land revenue rights. Okay, now this local self-government under Lord Ripon, we will see that there will be a role which will be played by Lord Mayo. Okay, Lord Ripon was the one, you will notice that he will be working for betterment of the policies in India. He will empathize with Indians. Financial autonomy, okay, this is absolutely right. Financial autonomy through provincial land revenue grants. Okay, let's see. This won't be very right over here. Mandatory official majority in all the local bodies. Okay, encouragement of political education through municipal institution. Centralized control over local taxation and bylaws over here. First statement over here, yes, definitely. Elected for non-official chairman. This is absolutely right. Okay, no harm in that. Second, financial autonomy through provincial land revenue rights. So basically, it promoted decentralization of the financial power. Now, mandatory official majority. No, first of all, till that time the emphasis was on non-official majority. Okay, this we will see, this official majority increases after 1892 Indian Council Act. So this is wrong. Encouragement of political education, yes. You can't have centralized control over local taxation and bylaws completely over here. First of all, it aimed to reduce central control, not reinforce it, because they wanted to bring in provincial autonomy over here. Is it clear? Consider the following aspects of Ripon's educational reforms over here. Emphasis on primary education under the local board. Yes, this is correct. Emphasis on vocational streams in secondary education. Yes. Withdrawal of government from university education. No. No such university education had been provided till this time. Expansion of female education beyond presidency towns. Yes. Direct government management of secondary school. So basically, this was Ripon's educational reform. It was not at all dealing with the uh, senior entry level education, right? It was dealing more with the educational reforms at the basic secondary level. Is it clear? So the answer over here is only 4. See over here. It has explicitly excluded the university education from its scope. Okay. Consider the following statements again. Following financial measures under Lord Ripon over here. Classification of revenue, it was in imperial, provincial, and divided heads. Yes, this is absolutely right. ठीक है. Introduction of quinquennial settlements with the provinces. Settlements with the provinces. Okay, this is also right. Complete fiscal autonomy to the provinces. Shared expenditure responsibility between center and provinces. Abolition of land revenue as an imperial subject. Now, see, basically, all the kinds of local self-government reforms and all the kind of financial reforms, they had been introduced, or the emphasis has been made on. It started with Lord Mayo. It went on till Lord Ripon, we see over here. Okay? Lord Ripon, he had expanded Lord Mayo's decentralized policy. First of all, yes, there has been classification of the revenue heads. He has introduced these settlements. Sharing responsibilities had been there. He had strengthened the financial, the provincial financial interest over here, right? Now, complete financial autonomy to the provinces. If you see, this is a very extreme statement. It talked about provincial autonomy, but complete financial autonomy still could not be provided. Okay, the provinces, they were given greater responsibility, but not complete autonomy. Because the conception of provincial autonomy over the states, you will see later during the time of Government of India Act 1935.